We are live. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the very first prolific episode where we're doing a Zoom call because Julie, our guest today, is all the way over in Alberta. I'm here in Kingston, Ontario. So we're using the magic of technology to bring this conversation to you. It's also really exciting because you can see I got a really nice studio set up here. Apologies for the video quality. We're still working on that, but we are going to re-upload the video with much nicer video quality later on. So we'll get right into our conversation here. I'm going to do a couple of announcements, and then I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Julie. So first of all, I just want to get the show started by, of course, thanking our amazing sponsor. That is TriArt Manufacturing. TriArt is a local to us organization in Kingston as well, but they are a global organization who researches, develops, and creates incredible paint products of all kinds. They are leaders in the space of acrylic paints, but that's not all. They have watercolor, oil paint, and they're expanding their operation to a much larger 160,000 square foot facility, meaning they're just bringing more awesome to you. So artists of the world, check out TriArt. That is TRI-art.ca. And you can find their website where you can order directly, or you can go to their distribution channels. So they've got art stores all around that you can find with the store locator near you. So I am super excited, and thank you to TriArt for sponsoring the show. Also, Kingston Frameworks, our business, is the reason this show exists. We have a wholesale program for artists where we offer highest quality giclée print products for you to turn into income streams for your audience. And we can work with artists who paint, photographers, or heck, musicians, anyone who creates imagery that their fans may want to collect. We are the type of people who can help you turn that into an income stream. So I think that's enough announcements for today. Let's jump into the show. I'm really excited to introduce Julie, who I'm going to start off by introducing her organization a little bit to give you a sense of what they've accomplished. Mastrius is a now global organization that works with artists all over through their peer mentorship program, where they work with a master. That master and the other peers in the group are navigated by a Mastrius navigator to learn together over a period of time to master elements of their art craft. But that's not all. They have courses. They have their art gallery where they're doing special events, releasing art of their artists. So an incredible community that supports and nurtures successful artists all over the world. And that was all started by Julie here and her husband, Mike. Together, they founded an organization that has literally changed lives. So it's really quite a pleasure to speak to you, Julie. Julie DeBoer, also a professional artist herself. I'm going to give the floor to you, Julie, and you can tell us a little bit about how you guys got started with this. I believe it was all thanks to the lockdown and the story of Mastrius being born.
Thanks, Colin. That was a lovely introduction. I'm blushing. It's good to be with you today. Yeah, Mastrius is quite the story. It came out of the pandemic, one of the good things that came out of a hard time. Yeah, the short story is my husband Mike started a company called Leveling Up. He was a corporate leader and was providing coaching for other corporate leaders, basically. And I joined the team to help with the marketing. And I was very out of my element, out of my industry, out of my comfort zone. And all the while, we have this mentorship model that was really rich, and our customers, our members were using terms like life-changing. I found my people, and so we knew what we had was really good. Enter COVID, the business died immediately. We didn't have a huge membership at that point, but all the while I'm in this position that I wasn't comfortable in at an organization I didn't really understand. All the while I'm thinking, oh, artists could really use this mentorship model if we just put a master in place of the coach, and this would be so good for my industry. And then the business died, and I said, oh, Mike, how about we try this with artists? And Mike never says no to anything. So we tried it with artists. I put the word out to my network on Instagram, actually. And fortunately, I had a good network across Canada, had a decent reputation. And I had a mentor as well, David Langevin from British Columbia. And I called him up and said, hey, you want to try something crazy? And he also never says no. So we launched our first mentorship groups with David and 8 artists in each of his groups. And they filled, I don't know, in 5 minutes. And so I very quickly had to find more mentors, Julia Veenstra, Sheila Davis, all these phenomenal artists across Canada. And Mastrius was born. It was very exciting. It took off like a rocket. When they talk about product market fit, you never really know what that means until you find it and you realize, oh, I see what they meant all this time.
Yeah.
And then we very quickly spilled into the States, and now we're in about 30 countries around the world, primarily North America, growing quickly in Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride of fun and adventure.
That's so awesome. I mean, it sounds really like we all just need to find people who don't say no to us when we have a crazy idea. I could certainly use as many of those as possible. I've got plenty of crazy ideas. So from basically 3 years ago now to 30 countries around the world, that's like a huge adjustment, I have to imagine, because it's not just a matter of starting the company and having like your mentorship group model. Now it's literally running an organization that is serving a lot of customers. You're ensuring that tech is always working. Like there must have been some pretty significant challenges, I imagine, that you would have gone through on this journey, right? Like I'm curious which challenges really kind of taught you something or really brought something home to you that you didn't know before. You know, product market fit was that beautiful, that rocket ship. And then, you know, what did you have to do to actually get it off the earth?
Yeah, that's a great big question. I think if you're going to eat an elephant, it's a bite at a time. And that's how we had to do it. It was one thing at a time. And there was so much to do. So many ideas, big vision, but we had a very small team. And we needed investors to help fund it. So that, you know, get some investment money. Okay, we can do the next step, next one little thing. Okay, now we can hire one more person for the team. So it was really about prioritizing. And what I've learned is to always start with your vision. Like every meeting that we have with our team, we talk about vision and mission, because we have to get back to that foundation of what we're doing and why, so that we have that in the forefront of our minds as we're brainstorming, as we're making decisions and deciding what the next step is or who the next person to join the team is. Not to say we haven't gotten distracted. It's like a kid in a candy store. Oh, what about art shows? Oh, what about courses? Oh, what about this? What about that? So then at times we have to pare back as well and realize, okay, we lost track, you know, this is our vision, let's narrow things down and refocus again.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I mean, there's a lot of shiny objects. There's a lot of things that seem like good ideas. And if you get caught up in that, you can easily throw yourself like way off track. I see it in artists all the time too, or I see it in different like creative personalities. It seems to be maybe par for the course that you're really just trying to do the right things and you're trying to do well. So you're always coming up with the next crazy idea, but sometimes it's like literally stay the course, or you have to properly evaluate it against what you really are going for. That's actually one of the questions I wanted to talk to you about. So great segue. How do you guys find that you evaluate opportunities to know that it's the right thing? So like you launched the art gallery shows, you launched courses. How do you know that that aligns with your vision, or what are you using to ensure it's really a good idea and not just like nice in
Yeah,
concept?
good question. I think because Mastrius is built by artists, and I was the first artist on the team, so the decisions we made were based on obviously my experience, what went well, what didn't go well in my experience as an artist, what do we have the power to change, what do we not want to change, what's great, what do we keep? And then it's about listening to our community. So like courses, it was actually one of our mentors that approached Mike and I and said, why aren't we doing courses? I want to give you one of my courses. This is Mitchell Albala out of Seattle. And he's a prolific teacher, best-selling author. He travels the world to teach, and he had been mentoring with us for a year and loved it. He loves having a navigator. He loves just showing up because we take care of everything else. And he said, well, here's my course. I want to do it at Mastrius. And so we thought, okay, well, if he wants to do a course, that probably means other mentors want to do courses. And we know that artists love courses too. So let's launch it and test it. So in January, we launched courses, and now that's a regular offering at Mastrius. And it's the same. What we had to do, though, is revisit our vision and our mission. And one element of that is relationship, live and interactive, face-to-face. That we're not really in the pre-recorded business. We want to get people in real relationships, talking to each other. I very intentionally designed Mastrius to be a safe community where we have rules of engagement, where we're non-competitive, we are supportive, where we co-market. It's a safe place for artists to really launch and choose their own goals and pace. But anyways, so coming back to honoring those missions of being the live and interactive relationship experience face to face. So as long as we incorporated that into the courses, then we were okay to do it. And they're going very well. It's actually a nice, if you think of it as a funnel, a sales funnel or a marketing funnel, how do you get people into mentorship groups? Courses is a great way because it's not, it's a bigger group, so it's a little bit less intimidating. Courses, most artists are familiar with. Mentorship is a little bit of a new take on an old model. So it's a great first step into the community. And then often they'll join a mentorship group, which is our goal.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. And I want to like kind of tease out some of those things you just mentioned, because they nail certain things that I've personally experienced. First of all, you know exactly who you are. That's really what the vision is, and what you're about and what you're trying to accomplish and why it works, right? You understand all of that. And then you get an idea. And instead of saying, we're going to do this all the time, you say, I'm going to test this. Let's try it out. Now, I find testing takes different scales. It depends on the idea of what it takes to test it. I imagine something like launching courses and building that out on your website and getting all the scheduling. Like it's not no work, right? It's quite a bit of work. But then
we have a motto. I'll just interject.
Yeah.
Quick, cheap, and dirty. If we're
quick,
testing,
cheap, and dirty.
Yeah, it has to be quick, cheap, and dirty. So we don't put a lot of effort into it. We're like, let's try it and see if it takes. If it takes, okay, then we'll invest. We'll make it beautiful. We'll put a little bit more money into it, and we'll clean it up.
I love it. And, I see it effective in like the lives of creators. So a lot of, this show, Prolific, is all about teasing out those core concepts that all creators need to learn in order to really thrive, right? And what I see from those who succeed quickly and those who seem to struggle, one common thread is that those who succeed quickly don't get mired in little details that aren't necessary to them doing well. Like getting their website up, let's just say, can be something that I see visual artists can get really caught up in trying to get perfect. And I get it. I'm like that too. You know, it's that artist at heart. It's that perfectionist at heart. Maybe it would be good for all of us to adopt a little more quick, cheap, and dirty when it's not your core competency. Like maybe it's, sure, make your visual art as good as possible, of course. But the website,
Mhm.
the first iteration of it does not need to be superstar level. It can just be what works. And frankly, these days, that's a white website with some nice pictures on it, some simple write-ups. It doesn't need to be SEO perfect or anything like that. Like that's just one example of many things where we're trying to get everything perfect rather than just testing it out. As far as printing goes, I find the same thing. You definitely want to do nice quality prints to represent your work, but you also don't have to pre-invest in 1,000 of them. You can just drop ship one or get one sample to make sure it's good and then take orders first and then, fulfill the orders. So quick, cheap, and dirty. I love it. I'm going to totally steal that, Julie.
Good. You should. Yeah, it's really about one step at a time. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. So easy to get overwhelmed as a business person, even as an artist, if you're pursuing it as a career. There's lots to do. Do not try to do it all at once. Pick one thing and do it quick, cheap, and dirty, and then do your second thing. And when you have time, you can come back and start cleaning things up.
It gets exciting too when you do it that way. It's like you actually feel the progress.
That's right. That's
You don't
right.
get you don't get stuck.
Yeah, it is
I
easier to get stuck.
I've got to ask you. So you must have seen this quite a lot, and I just want to know: is there any stories of artists succeeding? I'm sure you have many, but is there any like that you've been able to really take as like sort of, wind in your sails, that kind of thing? That's like, this is why I do what I do. Seeing artist success happen.
Yeah, there's so many stories. Oh, where to start? Um, I know. So our members come back to us and they say, oh, I kind of waited in the wings for about 12 months and then I finally joined a group and oh my gosh, I wish I had done it sooner. I found my people, I found my cheerleaders. This is my tribe. This is life changing, and it sounds too good to be true. And I know that it just really is what people say. Some of the stories are we have a group that started at Mastrius 3 years ago. So this month we celebrate our third birthday, and they started. I think they were group number 3, and 8 artists, and they are still together at Mastrius, being mentored, I think, by their 5th or 6th mentor, and they are just best of friends. They have traveled the world to see each other because they're all over the place. They have
Wow.
started an online gallery together that they are all, marketing and filling and selling from. We have seen artists. I know another artist, Terry, who, when we do art shows, I tell our artists, you have to have a website if you want to be in the show. And it doesn't have to be fancy one page or just have it. I need to have that too, so that you can co-market, we can promote you. You appear to be professional. These are the steps you need to take. And Terry said, oh, why do I have to do that? Do I really have to do that, Julie? And I said, trust me, Terry, trust me, you'll thank me later. So she built her simple website, and the show was about 2 months away. And before the show even happened, she sold 2 or 3 paintings off her website to complete
Whoa.
strangers. Shortly after the show, she was gallery represented. So little things like this that you don't know how impactful they can be. And another gal, Jan, who's been with us for 6 months, and she just got into her first online show that she applied to, and she's like, this never would have happened if I wasn't at Masters learning how to take these steps and growing my courage and putting myself out there. Oh, you hear stories every day. It's phenomenal.
That is really, really cool. And actually, that story about Terry reminds me of we just had our staff meeting. We're going through a big move ourselves right now. And we're focusing a lot on solidifying our core values, like who we are. It's sort of always been unsaid or unwritten rules, but it's, if we're expanding, you want to make sure you have that clean and clear. Like you can state them. Everybody agrees to them. You can evaluate whether or not someone's a good fit to the organization based on that. You can evaluate whether you're doing a good job based on that. And one of those things that actually came out was someone who's completely dreadfully terrified of computers. And he's, about my age, really, but just didn't grow up with them. It's just never been his strong suit. And the thing that he said was that you really have to push yourself. Like, we want to build an organization where we push ourselves to learn and try things that you don't think you're going to be good at, because you really don't know if you're going to be good at it until you do it. You might be a rock star at it. You might actually have the right mind to do it. So push yourself out of that comfort zone, give yourself a try. I think you and I, before the call, were just really hitting that note big time. All this going live stuff, it's definitely getting outside of your comfort zone, but it's life affirming stuff.
It really is. The more you push yourself, the more you learn how much you can handle. And we were just talking about capacity too. The more you stretch your capacity, the larger it grows. I've seen that in my life enormously. And sometimes what we're just missing is the accountability, the encouragement, other people who are doing the same thing with us, around us, the cheerleaders. And that's what, as artists, we're so isolated. We're solopreneurs, we're called. We work alone in our studio. And when we do come out into the art community for art shows, it feels really competitive, because I'm selling my work and they're selling their work, and we have the same customers in front of us. So it's a really tricky industry to find that connection, to find real support and real safety in relationships where we, like at Mastrius, we're all about not being in competition with each other. And what we've learned is the more we support each other, the more we co-market and collaborate and lift each other up, the better everyone does. There really is enough for everyone, for artists. It's not like, we're going to run out of customers. We're not. There's really enough. We're just scratching the surface. There's enough for everyone.
So what has it meant for you personally to have built the communities that you were looking for, that you didn't even know could be possible? What has it meant for you personally to build Mastrius?
It's been huge. It's been terrifying. I was really scared when we started, because I knew that I was the only artist on the team, and that we'd be building it on my network and my name, my reputation. And I was not okay with that at first. But then I realized, wait a second, if I'm one of the builders, I get to decide how to build this. So to build a community that fixed the problems I experienced as an artist, because I got burned pretty bad early on, just by competitive artists and nasty comments. And it just, I decided, okay, I'll do this myself. I'll just go solo. I'll stay in my studio and figure this out. And I did. But to be able to build a community where we have, community guidelines and rules, and, we're going to support each other, and we are very much goals focused. We all define what success is for us. This is not a ladder climb. This is a journey on a level path, and we are doing it together. We're not clamoring over each other. It doesn't have to be that way. And so to design it that way, that I needed, and then to see the artists come in droves, and that it was what they needed too, is just huge. And when I share my story about getting burned, I always see the nods in the audience wherever I'm sharing. It's a very common experience. And as artists, we're deep feelers. And so I think we get hurt more easily because we feel deeply. And so that's why we tend to be alone, and we don't need to. And I'm so glad. It was hard for me to be in community. That did not come naturally to me. So that's been huge for me to find my own cheerleaders and safe community in the community that I've had the privilege of building, not by myself, with our team, with our navigators, with our mentors. Everyone is on the same page. It's been incredible.
I completely agree. Wow. I mean, to anyone who's on the outside looking in, who's maybe feeling a little lonely right now in their creative pursuits, all you have to do is sign up to Mastrius. But really, it can seem almost too good to be true. I've kind of spent my life that way, and I think it might be a bit of a creative person thing,
Mm,
because you dedicate your mind to original ideas in a way that maybe others don't find quite so interesting, and you kind of get stuck thinking of something or creating something that you think is truly experiential and or interesting, or so maybe it's just a part of the default setting. I haven't always found it easy, but I've got to say that as I've put myself out there more, instead of hiding in the office or in the studio, you find people who, for whatever reason, they really like egg you on. And it's probably one of the most beautiful and nice things. And you give that right back, and it turns into this like, we're all in this together. And that I guess it's rare and it's wonderful. And I hope more and more creators seek that out somehow, mostly by putting yourself out there and
mm.
finding a group for yourself somehow. And if it doesn't work the first time, maybe the second time, don't give up on it. It's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, it definitely is. You have to take a risk really to get the reward of the risk, and that can be a hard step for sure. I get it. Relationships can be messy, but when you find the right people, oh man, does that make a difference? Then you're set for life. And we have friends that I've met at Mastrius that I will know for the rest of my life, and mentors who now when I travel, I can go have lunch with. I have a community all over the world. It's as an introvert who was like a hobbit, it's incredible to now feel like, wow, I know so many people I really love and respect.
Hmm.
And that's such a good thing. We're designed to need that and to thrive with that in our lives. So yeah.
With 7.5 billion people in the world, I think loneliness isn't a natural state or one that we're meant to experience too often.
It's true. It's
It's
true.
not easy, but it is worth it.
It is worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's take a little like meander over to a new subject here. I want to dig into that beautiful work you have behind you. I fell in love with your artwork. The moment I saw it, there was something about your curvy, bright colored skyscapes. And then there was the firescapes for me that, like, as a kid who loves campfires from early camping days, it just immediately hit me. I am going to own one of those someday, guaranteed.
Awesome.
But I wanted to dive into a little more about, you and your personal journey as an artist. You didn't even start as a business founder. You started out as an artist. So let's dive into that a little bit. I'll just pretext this with, I've got a bit of a system where I say there's three types of artists. There's represented, there's self-represented, and then there's rebel. And you can be a combination of those things. Represented, obviously, the traditional path of having others sell your work for you. Self-represented, where you're doing a lot of that sales work, that marketing, that legwork yourself. And then rebel, which I kind of cutely coined because it's really the people who use stunts to get themselves into PR and things like that. The Banksies and the Mr. Doodles of the world. And that's a tale as old as time. So I'm kind of curious where you'd put yourself on that spectrum, how that journey looked for you, and how you ultimately became a professional artist in the biz.
I was raised, so my mom is an artist, and she built her own career. Basically, when we went to school, my brother, sister, and I, and we were out of the house, she finally got to have some time to herself. She bought some paints, taught herself how to paint, built a career, became gallery represented, had a great, thriving career. And that was the only picture of what it meant to be an artist that I was exposed to. So I thought that was it. That's
Hmm.
how you be and are an artist. That was what success looked like. And I had no intention of becoming an artist. I actually got a nursing degree, and then had Mike and I had our family, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And then lo and behold, when my kids went to school, I went and bought some paints and canvases and taught myself how to paint and followed exactly in my mom's footsteps. And in that first 7 years is when I had been in the art community, and then kind of got burned. And I thought, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm just going to do it on my own. And in 7 years, I had a few galleries representing me in that time. So I was doing well. I had a style that was developing, and but it dawned on me one day. I think I saw a painting. I was at the art supply store. I saw a pamphlet on the wall with this painting that just blew my mind, and it was David Langevin's landscape. And I realized I had this terrible moment of, oh dear Lord, I'm missing something. And I realized I don't know what I don't know, that there's these gaps in my knowledge I had been completely unaware of. And I thought I was finally motivated to leave my studio and go back into the world. So I signed up for his workshop. I begged my friend Holly Dearland to come with me because I was terrified. And so I spent hundreds of dollars, drove up to Edmonton, hundreds of kilometers, and put myself in a room with 30 strangers, plus my one little friend, and learned from David Langevin, who I was completely intimidated by. And it changed my entire life, absolutely changed everything, taking that one step. I made a deal with myself. Okay, you're doing all these hard things. You're totally out of your comfort zone. You have to make this worthwhile. You have to show David your website, like on your phone. You have to make a connection with him and just show him and see what happens. And so I did that. And he said at the end of the workshop, he said, here's my phone number, here's my email address. I want you to stay in touch. If ever you have a question, you need some encouragement, I want you to call me. I can see that you're pursuing your career seriously and you're talented. And he said, I want to help you get as far as you want to go. And I was like, oh my gosh, unbelievable. So not only did I learn his masterful technique, which completely changed the way I was painting and creating. I had no idea what I was doing before. And it was so much more fun once I figured out how to do it well. Not just that, but then I have this master artist who wants to help me get as far as I want to go. And I could call him, I could email him, and he did, and he was there. And just the confidence alone that gave me just rocket launched me. I got into a gallery that was on my 10-20 year list shortly after meeting him, and he was part of the reason why I got in there. So yeah, it was a complete game changer. And now he's a dear friend of mine and still my mentor. And yeah, so that was my journey. And then, without that having happened, we wouldn't have Mastrius. Without me being burned, we wouldn't have Mastrius. Without me, not having met David, we wouldn't have Mastrius. So there's so many good and hard things that have got me to where I am today. Yeah, it's quite remarkable. Yeah, I even forget what your question was.
That was definitely part of it. We can keep going. So you got into a gallery, and that wasn't your first gallery at that point, right?
No, I had.
But it was like a VIP, like I want to be there hopefully someday. And
yeah.
have you continued down that path of basically allowing the galleries to do most of the sales work for you? Have you been a gallery represented artist for the most part? And, what kind of lessons might you teach to artists about that process? Because for many, it seems a little scary and intimidating themselves.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm gallery represented and I'm self-represented. Times have changed thanks to the internet and Instagram and all these great tools. It's a fantastic time to be an artist. You don't really need galleries to be successful. I love working with galleries because they take a lot off my plate, which I appreciate. But I put a lot of work into my own marketing. It used to be that galleries just wanted to do all the marketing for the artists. The artists were just to paint and create. And that sounds dreamy, but I can't shake the feeling that my career is my responsibility, and galleries can close anytime, and I don't want to be left high and dry. And that actually did happen once. A gallery closed without even telling me. They just said, come pick up your artwork, and they were done. And so that instability I wasn't fond of. So I take my career very seriously, and I take responsibility for it, and I do my own marketing, and I work with galleries. One thing I have learned is, because I had such a what's the word, a very unique or one-sided view of what it meant to be an artist, kind of my mom's experience. I didn't realize that there were other ways to do this journey. I didn't realize that um, being an artist didn't have to mean selling. It didn't have to mean gallery representation. That really it's up to the artist what they want their journey to look like, what they want their goals to be. It can be that you're painting exactly what you want, when you want, for who you want to give it to. And that can be your definition of success and be the most life-giving career or hobby or whatever you want to call it. So because of the mentorship I'm receiving at Mastrius, my mind has really opened up to the idea of, what do I actually want from this career? What are my goals, not my mom's goals? Or what other artists' goals are, what do I really want from this? And so I've been reevaluating that a lot lately, and learning how to paint what is authentically in me, what needs to come out of me, what the world needs to see. And that's why you're seeing fire, and you're seeing a lot more flow. I didn't even know what that was all about, my flowy style, until a mentor, one of my mentors at Mastrius, helped me to figure that out. She said that you have a very unique style. Do you know why? I'm like, nope. I'm pretty sure it's because I'm crazy. She said, nope. So she had me dive way back to like my childhood, and my homework for her and my group was to do a visual presentation of all my art from as far back as I could go. And then together they found threads in my work and then spoke them to me. And it was incredible. That was life-changing for me, because they found threads that I was completely unaware of. And what it turns out to be is, when I was a kid, I loved to dance and to sing. And that was me when I was a kid. I was spinning and dancing all over the place and singing. And I never got to really pursue that. I didn't, go to dance class or join a choir or anything like that. So I think it kind of got repressed. And when I started painting, it came bursting out of me. And once I understood that, I was thrilled. It's like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is actually really beautiful. And now that I'm aware of it, I can pursue it really intentionally, not subconsciously, but consciously. And I'm so excited. And so now my artwork is starting to morph and change. I'm totally unstuck. I was kind of pigeonholed because I didn't know what direction to go. So yeah, that's been incredibly life-changing. So I feel like I'm in transition, I guess, is the answer to your question. I think for artists, there's really a lot of different ways you can do this thing. And that's just, that world has just opened up to me. So I'm excited to explore it, to find my own way, my own path, and to see where that takes me.
That's really heartwarming, honestly. And it's so true that we need to get back to where we really started a lot of the time, isn't it? Yeah. It's like the person that you're really trying to get to know over all this is you at the end of the day. We have to find out who we really are and just play that out, because that's that one unique thing about you that just, that's who we are. I think it's breathtakingly beautiful, just like your artwork.
Oh, thank you, Colin.
You must be really busy. You must have, between being, I think you told me, a full-time Mastrius founder, quarter-time artist. And then you're a mom. You've half-time. Okay. So we upgrade on that. And then you're a mom. You've got a life, and what do you do, or what do you like to do? What would you ideally do to recharge your batteries? Are there things that you do in order to re-inspire yourself, or find time to decompress? What kinds of things do you like to find time in that?
There is very little time to decompress, so I do a few things. I have a morning ritual that I honor every day, where I start my day with quiet, kind of solitude. I do a devotion, I read scripture, I pray, I sometimes meditate, because I have had terrible anxiety in these last few years, being pushed so far out of my comfort zone. It became debilitating, so I had to conquer it, which I have. So that's part of my morning rituals to get that under control. And then a few things, happy hour with my husband every day, which
Yeah.
is we sit together, we connect, we talk. And that I think has been huge for our marriage. I love to be outside. I have chickens, and just spending a few minutes outside with the chickens is really refreshing. We love to camp. We don't have a lot of money because it's all in the company. So if we can go camping, that's massive. We love to spend time with our friends on the weekend. We work the weekend as well, so we're squeezing stuff in. And church on Sunday is life-giving and renewing. Yeah, if I could travel far and wide, I would, but Mike and I always have to work. So if we travel, it's a workation. We bring our work with us, so we don't go too far.
I'm excited to see your chicken series in the next gallery showing. No.
I've never painted a chicken. Isn't that funny?
Hey, it's not too late. Just maybe it's a stage in life. Yeah, it sounds like it's actually not dissimilar to what I did on the drive over here, which, before going live, it's quite nerve-wracking. And I just try to find that place of calmness where you stop thinking about the future and you stop thinking about the past and you just let yourself be where you are. And it's funny because that does all of the heavy lifting for you, I find. It sounds like you got a good routine for that in the morning. I wish mine was more regular, really. I should try to put that in more often, but I'm glad to hear you've made that such a part of your life. And, your steady diet of scripture and words. I think all of that, reminds us of what's important.
It's good. There's a lot of good that if we take the time to sit in it and just soak, it can just make a huge difference. Like you said, even just being the word is mindful, right? It's such a popular word, but it's really about just stop thinking about the future, stop thinking about the past, and be in the moment. Feel your body, hear what you can hear, taste what you can taste, get back to very, very simple
Mm-hmm.
existence. And everything comes off your shoulders, and you're just a human in this moment. The future is out there. You'll never get to it because it's always the future. The only thing you
Yeah.
have is this moment.
It's a unique thing to be human and have an imagination and be able to contemplate the future and remember the past in vivid detail. And it's funny because those things don't really exist. They're just in our heads. It literally will never exist. You will never live there. You will never live back then, and you will never live from, in the future. So I've recently sort of been playing with the idea that, because I get kind of plagued by self-doubt personally. You can appear very confident to people, but actually in your mind, there's all these things going on saying you're not really all that great and all that kind of stuff. Well, I kind of realized that a lot of that had to do with me thinking about the future, me thinking forward, me thinking, where am I going to be? And I start saying, well, you're not that good. You're not good enough to do that. Or whatever you're thinking, it's not going to work. Self-doubt or anxiety or a lot of things usually come from us not really just being right now. I think the imagination is a wonderful thing, and you can definitely live in your imagination a little bit and have some fun and create a vision for your company and imagine the next art piece. Like, it's a tool, but it's not you. It's just a piece of you. So, not to steal the mic there from you, but I think it's really important because as creators, we have to deal with that thing all the time as we try to figure out what's next and where we are right now and what's the right move and blah, how it goes.
Yeah, I sure do. We all have that voice in our head. And if you're listening and you have that voice in your head, you are not alone.
No.
Yeah, it's a constant battle. And I find the habit of being aware of it is step number one. And then catching it is step number two, and then correcting it. So you have to call it out and say, nope, I can do
Mhm.
this. Nope, I am a good artist. God put it in me the right way. All I have to do is trust it and let it come out and make that routine, be aware of it, catch it, and correct it.
Be aware of
And
it,
it's
catch it,
amazing.
correct it.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
repeating what you're saying.
yeah, I
Zoom
love it.
calls.
It's a powerful thing. Don't
Yeah.
you are the master of your internal dialogue. Take charge.
Some would say you are the Mastrius of your internal dialogue.
Love it. Hmm.
So speaking of, I've got a few things that we can kind of start to close in on. I've got a few more questions I want to dive into with you. One of them would be, what can you share about your vision for Mastrius going forward? Where are you guys trying to take this company? Obviously, nothing that can't be shared yet, but where do you really see the organization, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's very exciting. The potential is huge. We obviously started in fine art painting. We now have like quilters. We've worked with photography. We actually tested photography fairly seriously and got great traction there. There definitely is a need. We've talked to chefs, we've talked to singers, songwriters, um, actors, and they've all said, oh, yes, when are you coming to my industry? So the goal is to change the world, if that doesn't sound terribly corny, but the world could really use some tweaking. And um, and the creative industries, I mean, we're all kind of the same, us creatives. We are out of the box thinkers, we're risk takers, we have incredible vision, we see beauty all around us. Um, and and yeah, to bring this sort of life-giving model with relationship and safe community and connection, like I would feel bad if we just kept it to fine art painting, because really there's so many industries and artists and creatives out there who want it, and the world needs it. So we're going to go as far and as wide as we can. um, Investor funded. So we are bringing along, sharing our vision often and getting people on board. And that's been going well. So we hope in 2024 possibly to launch into our next industry. And I'm not sure what that will be. And it might not be next year, but I'm hoping that it will be. So yeah, let me know if you're a creative in a different industry and you think that mentorship and the small group model and trusted community would be good for your industry. Definitely, we're hearing good things, so we're gonna go big.
I could just say everyone should just be saying yes. Instant community, master guidance. Any industry can use this. That is, like you say, in its nature, a creative industry, and often a lonely one. We use the term entrepreneur. Well, I don't know what the terms are for every other industry, but musicpreneur,
Yep.
foodpreneur. We're all sort of in that together, where we're in today's world, we're self-employed. We're not represented by some rich, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who starts with a P, patron. Your patron,
Nope.
right? That was Leonardo da Vinci did it with patrons. Well, we don't really get that anymore. What we get is a market and the ability to put ourselves in it. So that's really cool. And I definitely think that kind of support and guidance is going to probably change and bring to the fore a lot of great culture, a lot of great art, music, food, every industry you could possibly think of. I'm excited for that. Actually, maybe I'll find a group that fits me somehow. So
Absolutely. And I
super
think
cool.
times have changed too, in that people, it used to be graduate high school, you get a degree and then you're successful. And that's not the case anymore. Degrees time out in 5 to 10 years, so I've read. And so that's not enough to build a career or keep one. So there's a culture of hacking it. I want to do this. Oh, I need a piece of this. I need a piece of that. I can get this online. I know this guy, he can help me. And people are hacking their careers and their futures. And I think that's what Mastery provides and supports is that, you know, we have all this knowledge and experience and skill. If we can just bring it all together, and then you pick what you need to build the career, the hobby, the passion, whatever that you want for yourself, and you can do that. Like, there's no better time than now to be able to access all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just you now, it's other peers like you doing that same vibe, whether it's hacking it or, you know, really digging deep in a certain industry or whatever, right? Whatever that style is. And multiple of you are doing it maybe in different ways, plus a guiding master. Like it actually adds up to an incredible amount of knowledge shared in a very compressed period of time. And it continues. It's not just one and done. It's over and over and over. It's better than any seminar you can go to, right? Because you'll actually know these people and you'll get deep with them. I find one of the reasons I want to do this show is literally what you're talking about, is to try to bring to the fore different concepts that spread out within the different creative industries and go deeper. You know, I want to go deeper and not just on the shallow level as much as possible, you know, as much as we can in that 1 hour we have. So absolutely awesome. Along with that, I'd love to hear your kind of advice for these types of creatives, artists specifically, because you know that world so well, but just in general, what hard-won advice and guidance are you really finding resonates with your artist community, and just things that you'd love to share?
Yeah, I think the guidance, I hesitate to use that word, but just encouragement, because I'm learning all of this at the same time as everyone else, is that it's really being an artist, being a creative. It's not a certification that you earn. It's something that you are. And so I know a lot of artists who hesitate to even use that word to describe themselves. And so that's where I would start. If you are creating and you are arting, you're an artist. Just claim it. It's yours. You don't need to sell to be an artist. You don't need to be in a gallery to be an artist. And it really is this level journey. And it's really defined by you. You don't have to have the same goals as the artist down the street from you. You don't have to paint what you think will sell. Because actually what we've learned is when you're painting what's authentically, you know, in you, that is wanting to come out, that's actually what resonates much better with the people who see your work. It actually will slow you down if you are trying to guess what they want and then make it for them. So yeah, I would just encourage people to really lean into what is in them, and to decide what they want to, how they want that to come out, and what their goals are, what's reasonable for them, and to shoot high if they really want to. We are usually, our greatest limitation is ourselves and our beliefs about ourselves, our internal dialogue. And to be kind to yourself is another thing. We can be so critical of our own work, and we need to stop doing that. We wouldn't do it to our kid. We wouldn't do it to our spouse or to our friend. We should not be critical to ourselves. Lots of grace. This is a journey. It is not a destination. I think that's probably the hugest thing that I've learned, is that there is no "I've arrived" when you're an artist. If you ever feel like you've arrived, then you stop growing. So if you think of it as a journey, that also releases you from the future and the past, right? It's about today. It's about what can I do today to honor my wiring and what I'm made to do, and enjoy the journey. I work with 200 master artists, and I know when they're a good fit, because I meet every single one of them. I know when they're a good fit when they say, "Oh, I'm not really comfortable with that term master. I'm still learning." I'm like, "Oh, that's so great."
Yes.
Our masters
Yes.
are getting mentored. Yeah, like it isn't this pinnacle, and life isn't that way, right? When do we arrive in life? Is it when we get married? Is it when we become parents? What if we can't become parents? Is it when we retire? It's not about that, right? It's every day, every relationship, every journey.
Mm-hmm. You've arrived right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all
right.
there is.
Oh, there is.
Beautiful. Very zen, very peaceful. And I think that our best work usually comes from that place anyway. and our best life comes from that place. Yeah. I just want to pick your brain as one last question as we close up. What do you think, based on what you're seeing in the wider art industry, that you believe artists and maybe art lovers would be wise to pay attention to? Are you seeing any interesting trends or directions that things seem to be taking, some commonalities, anything that's kind of coming up from your vantage point as someone who works with as many artists as you do and your own art career? I'm just kind of curious if there's anything you'd point out that we should go, I wonder what that's about.
That's a great question. A couple things come to mind. There's no better time to be an artist because you can really control your journey. And if you want to make it a career, you can do that on your own. And of course, Mastrius would help, but it's not like you need the galleries to get you there. I know some of our masters are self-taught and have, more than 6-figure, 7-figure incomes. It's crazy. Not that that's everyone's goal. I think too, with AI and digital art and AI digital art, that there's some fear about, art, is that going to undermine the art industry? And I don't think it will. Like, there's nothing like the tangible physical painting where you can touch the paint and you can see through the layers and and also something that we talk about on our team is it's not so much about the art industry, but about the advancement of technology and artificial intelligence and all that, information is going to be as cheap as water. But what will never be replaced is that relationship. There's no AI relationship that's going to take the place of our friendship or a mentor and mentee relationship. So information will become very easy to access, but relationships will not. And that's the thing that's going to be gold. And it is gold. And that's the thing that we need to protect and make sure that we have it in our lives.
I agree 100 with all of those thoughts. Definitely. Information, it's everywhere now. You don't have to try for information. We're in the post-information age. The information's been done.
That's right.
Now what? Now what?
Now what?
So let's put it together with other people and do something with it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Julie, this has been a completely wonderful conversation. I admire you and what you guys have done and built, and definitely look forward to continuing to work with you on our side of the fence over at Frameworks. I think, we've got a lot of symbiosis. Is there anything you'd like to just share with the community where they can find you, Instagram handles, that kind of thing? Where should they look for you, Julie, and for Mastrius?
For me, you can find me on Instagram at julie.deboer.art. My website is juliedeboerart.com. Mastrius on Instagram is mastrius.official. We also have an art show and a community account, and mastrius.com. Mastery and Us is how we came up with the name Mastery and Us, Mastrius.
Yes.
Yeah, mastrius.com. And there's a little chat bubble on our website that goes directly to our team. So if you have questions, pop it in there. We are here to help.
Awesome. And I will just say to all viewers, thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below how you thought this format worked for the conversation. I kind of really liked having a more one-to-one approach in this more intimate setting personally. And I'd love to hear if there's anyone that you think we should have on the show. So thank you. We will be doing another show in 1 month from now on October the, hang on, what is it? October the 12th. October the 12th, we'll be talking with a gentleman who has built a soccer net company, has been in the video industry, has fought with and conquered alcoholism in his life, and lives a very rich and interesting life. So very excited to tell you more about him in the weeks to come. Thank you again, Julie. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Colin. Likewise. Appreciate you.
Cheers.